Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today we are joined by Wolf the trainer from Lobo K9. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Yeah, we connected on social media. A mutual contact kind of put us in touch, and I took a look at your social media, and it is right up my alley with, your training structure, your creating boundaries for dogs, just the whole mentality around dog training. And so I really gravitated toward your social media, and I think that what you're going to share today is going to be super impactful for the listeners. So tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got into dog training.
Okay, so my name is Wolf. I've been in the dog industry since 2018. I was flipping burgers at a burger place in Greenville, Texas. And when I was in high school, I wanted to do the military, took the ASVAB, went that whole route. But for unforeseen reasons, I just didn't get through. But I've always been attracted to that kind of lifestyle, the tactical look, things, obviously, right? But never ended up going. Later on in life, I'm flipping burgers at this little burger joint, and a guy walks in, looks pretty military, right? He has like the military colored shirt. It says Canine Trainer on his sleeve. He has the cargo pants, the tactical boots, immediately like kid in a candy store. And so I started asking questions, and come to find out, he's like the owner and founder of the school where you become a dog trainer and the company that you then move to. So I started asking questions. A week later, I was at the interview process, and I could say that my mentor, Craig, that was his name. He introduced me to my passion. Like, I've always had a passion for animals. I've always loved animals. Never really saw myself working with animals, but I've always had that love for animals. And him introducing to me the way dogs learn and everything surrounding that, it definitely sparked a flame that I have yet to be put out.
That's amazing. I think anyone that can find a mentor that can lead them even closer to their passion and then make their passion their work is phenomenal. Not everyone gets that. And so I love that you found that. I think it definitely shines through in a lot of the work that you do and a lot of the work that you share. So let's kind of talk about your training philosophy. So, how do you view dog training just generally for the general public?
The way that I view it is I view it as canine education, right? Whatever you're communicating with your dog, whether you're trying to teach them something, teach them a command, teach them to stay out of something, or teach them new boundaries or rules, whatever aspect you're looking at it's canine education. You're educating your canines, right? And I feel like because we decided to bring them into our society and make them cohabitate, that it's our responsibility to give them what they need, not what we want them to have and what we think makes them happy, but what they need to set them up for a successful life. So I base my whole entire program and belief system, if you will, but on that basis. So if you look at dog politics and the dog training world, it does have sides. You have what they call the positive only, and then you have balanced trainers, right? And I fall into the category of balanced trainer. And the reason why is because I don't believe that I don't agree with you shouldn't correct or quote unquote punish a dog.
Hmm.
Because me not only being a father, but a professional canine educator, I know that when teaching, whether you're talking about humans or dogs, when teaching something young or someone young, the way that they're supposed to successfully coexist on our world, when we have that responsibility, it's up to us to make sure that it is clear, right? Not that there's room for error, because then if they go off and make the mistakes, even though they learn from these mistakes, it's part of the responsibility is making sure that they don't have to go through so many, right? Mistakes is going to be part of the process, but we want to make sure that it's as clear as we can make it. And with that being said, you have to be able to correct the dog so that they know when they do something wrong so that they can make the right decision. And in conjunction with that of correcting a dog, you also tell them, hey, you're not supposed to do it that way, but hey, look at this. This is how you do it. This is what I like. This is how you'll have zero issues, and this is how you'll get the happiness in life. And that's how I see educating a dog,
Mm-hmm.
is not so much positivity and negativity, just learning of, hey, that's not allowed. I don't like that. As your owner, the person who's giving you life and food and all these toys and everything that we provide for you, I do not like whether it's, think of something small, right? Put it on a spectrum. Dogs jumping on people.
Mm-hmm.
When your guests come over, they're jumping on people. You have a small to medium sized dog. It's not really a problem. You can go that dog's entire life and you're not really going to deal with any issues unless somebody's having a bad day, right? Or unless somebody doesn't have dogs or doesn't like dogs, right? They jumped on the wrong person. They get irritated. They complain. You know the stories, right?
Right.
But then you take that same dog and put it on on the side of the spectrum that actually bite humans. You came into my house, I'm uncomfortable, I'm going to bite you to create space. All of that to me is on the same spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
right? Of, hey, this spectrum is how we exist on this world. These are things you're allowed to do, these are things you're not allowed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle is peaceful coexistence. Thank you, sir. Is peaceful coexistence. And with that being said, there's no way you can teach anything. Nothing in my opinion, there's nothing on this planet that you can teach and there not be a correction, right? Or there not be some kind of structure or format of, this is the way it's supposed to be, and this means that you do it right or wrong, right? They have to be able to gauge that. And as the teacher, and whenever anybody works with a canine professional or a dog trainer or a behaviorist, you're working with somebody who's supposed to be able to help you improve the issues that you're dealing with, right? And so with us being the teachers, we are the ones who specify all of these things. I teach you how to be a teacher, right? I'm teaching we're human coaches. Yes, we're dog trainers and canine educators, but at the end of the day, we're training humans, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're teaching y'all how to guide them, how to lead them, because that's what they need. They don't need a best friend. They need leadership.
Yeah.
That's my stance on training.
I think that balance trainers have gotten this, I don't want to say bad reputation, but I think that this denotion that balance trainers quote unquote punish. And it's not that the focus is on punishing the dog, it's quite literally setting up that structure for the dog and letting them know this is the structure, this is the expectation, and being very clear with, if you deviate outside of that expectation, there's repercussions. And so,
Yep.
like you said, setting them
Bro.
up for success, that's what balance trainers, in my opinion, really set out to do. I don't think the focus is on, like you said, positive or negative or reinforcing something or punishing something. It's more or less setting forth, like, here's what we're going to be doing and only what we're going to be doing. We're
Yep.
not going to deviate from this.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that also kind of like takes it back to us humans, right? Same thing with children. You can't, you would never be able to, gentle parenting, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing for children. Yes, in just like with positive only training, there's parts in developmental stages where those things are 100% successful, right? Especially when teaching. But whenever a dog or a human comes to you and is having behavioral issues, not being able to correct the wrong behavior, you won't be successful because
Right.
they'll never know the difference between the right way to do something and the wrong way.
Hmm. Yeah, so we've talked a lot about structure and boundaries. And so I want to transition that into crate training,
Yeah.
because you see it all the time on social media. People just dog crate training. And I can be honest, only one of my dogs is crate trained. And that's probably because I was a pushover with my senior dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my dogs,
Stay.
I think I just let too much emotion get in the way of crate training him. And it took me being in this industry, working with trainers, having this podcast, and educating myself to understand, like, the crate can be a safe place. So, like, my dog that's crate trained, if he gets too tired, if he gets a little bit overwhelmed, if the other dogs are bothering him, he goes straight to his crate, and he doesn't see that as punishment. And I think for so long, so many people have been taught, like, crate equals punishment. And so I wanted to talk to you about like crate training. Do you offer that in some of your training services, and what's your approach for crate training?
To be honest, when it comes to, there's a difference between working with foster dogs, right? And dogs that don't necessarily have families, and then working with pet dogs.
Yeah.
There's a difference working dogs, right? But at the end of the day, all of those dogs do need structure.
Hmm.
And so what I implement, it doesn't matter if you're coming to me with a puppy, with an older dog, with a teenage dog who's having behavioral issues, whatever the case, I always offer the education of why it's important, why it is helpful, why it's needed, right? Why, like, the facts behind it. And then sometimes as a professional, I'll, unfortunately, because of the humans in the equation, right? Some people just because of their belief system refuse, right? And this is why I call myself a canine educator, because you called me out because you are trusting in my professional opinion,
Hmm.
right? And the hard facts, the scientifically proven facts, is the kennel should never be punishment, right? It's like your kid's room. Everything is gonna go back to kids because I feel like it's the most relatable because we were kids at one point. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter what your childhood looked like, you were a kid at one point, right? And it's the same thing as your room. We prefer to be in our rooms. We want to be. It's our own space. It's personable. It's intimate, right? This is us. It's our safe spot, like you said, right? And with that being said, also when we get in trouble, we get sent to our room, you know? So in the same instance, yes, it is a punishment, but I think it's the terminology that confuses people sometimes. But yeah, it's your safe place at the end of the day. And so I do offer it for all of my clients. Not everybody always agrees to it,
Hmm.
but I definitely offer it because that's all it is structure. It's something consistent. It's a consistent boundary in your dog's life that offers it the stability and structure to be like, this is what I know. I don't have to look for this answer. I don't have to search for this answer. I've been taught what this is. I know what it is. I'm comfortable with what it is, and I've accepted it.
Hmm.
So 100%.
And along with creating the structure and creating these boundaries, you and I talked offline earlier about kind of that difference in like obedience training, the standard just sit, stay, roll over versus kind of that real life practical training. And so, when do you think, if I'm a new dog owner, I've never had a dog, or I, used to have a family dog, when do you think there's a time and a place for me to go? Maybe I look for that obedience trainer who's just going to teach that basic sit, that basic down, versus coming to someone like you who's going to more fully educate me and give me a more well-rounded kind of training. Like, do you think there's a time and place for both? Do you think that dog owners should kind of be looking for, both aspects? Like, what's kind of your position on that?
As far as accessibility, I feel like when it comes to, those beginning steps of just teaching like basic obedience, like looking for a trainer, like you just got a dog, or, you're just wanting to work on the like commands of sit, this, that, and the other, that you should, anytime you're looking out for somebody to put their hands on your dog or tell you how to control your dog or how to work with your dog, do your research. Because there is people out there who do not care about animals and are getting paid to put their
Hmm.
hands on your dog, right? And then you have these animal abuse cases, and then you lose your dog. All these things happen. So first and foremost, do your research. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
who you're looking into. It doesn't matter where they're located or what their beliefs are. Do your research. Okay. And then after that, as far as which way to go, I think there is a time and a place, but finding somebody who is all inclusive is the best way to go because you don't want to have to go through stages. Yes, you're going to have developmental stages with your dogs, especially say you got a new dog and you have a new puppy. You're going to go through those developmental stages, go reach sexual maturity on average around that year mark, depending on the breed. And then typically people think again, depending on breed, you get to that year mark of maturity. And then, yes, they understand all these obedience commands and everything, but now they have personality. Now they have, if they're not fixed, now they have testosterone in their body, So there's a lot of different variables. But if you find something, an education program that is all inclusive, this is something I offer to my clients. Is like once we work together, we're gonna fix the things as to why you came out to me or like why you reached out to me in the first place. We'll focus on those. But what people quickly realize when they work with me is it's not black and white. It's not, we're not service canine educators are not service people. I heard another. I wish I remembered the name of this lady who posted this video. She's another trainer I saw online, but she made a really valid point that people, for the majority of the general population, see dog trainers as service people. Like, you have a broken washer, I'm gonna call the service man. He's gonna come over, fix it, and then it's gonna be done.
Mm-hmm.
Dog trainers don't work like that. You can't be like, this dog bites people. We're going to come over, fix it with our little screwdrivers, and then go about our day. It just doesn't work that way. And what people quickly find out, asking, what direction to go as far as just obedience or working on behavioral stuff, it's all encompassing. And why you should find all encompassing is because it all matters.
Mm-hmm.
You to say that you only work on these things and these are the only methods you use is not very logical,
Mm-hmm.
because they need it all. They need structure. You need to teach them about their emotions and how to handle them in any situation. And then you have to, obviously, they have to have the intelligence and understanding of communication between the owner and the dog to understand commands like sit, stay, the basic obedience, right? Because you can have a dog who sits every time you say sit, but the second they see a stranger, they're going to run up to him and bite him. So where does your obedience, draw this? So this is why you should find somebody who's all encompassing, who can educate you on everything a dog needs, not just teach you commands, because it's not just black and white of let's teach them these commands, and then if they know how to do these things, you'll have full control. It's not true,
Mm-hmm.
because dogs have personalities, meaning they have minds of their own, meaning they can make them up by themselves. They don't need us, right? But they're people pleasers. Dogs are people pleasers. They love us with unconditional love. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't usually have to go to them a bunch. They see we give them their food, they get love and affection, they keep coming back. But the second something else is more valuable to them, right? Which a lot of people are going to resonate with this part. You're the best. You're the entire your dog's entire world when you're inside your house. The
Mm-hmm.
second you step out the front door, your dog is flipping you off and making you look like a kite on the sidewalk,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
that's because everything out there is more valuable than the owner at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, they're smart and you worked on these commands, but you didn't work on the relationship, as in I'm the leader,
Mm-hmm.
you are the follower, right? And then respectfully, there's boundaries in place. You don't just This isn't just a free for all, you're just living your best life. There has to be boundaries in place, or you're going to eventually, you could go years with no problems,
Mm-hmm.
right? But eventually you are going to run into some kind of inconvenience. It can be small or it can be really, really bad. So just if you don't get if a dog doesn't get the full encompassing behavior, emotions, education, all of that together, then it's going to make the process longer, and the things that they do learn will be less effective.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think there is a place for all of it.
Yeah. You were talking about, how the things outside are more valuable than the owner. And I was pretty strict with my dogs, really followed my dog training. And then I could say the last like few months got kind of lax, like not being consistent with don't bark at this or don't do this, not being consistent with you go here at this time, you do this at this time. I lessened that structure and my
Hmm.
dogs have taken full advantage of it. They're smart, they know. I mean, so it's funny to try to like get them back into check because they'll kind of check me. They'll be like, what kind of mood is she in? Is she being a pushover today? Like, what can I get away with? Like, maybe I can go beg over here real quick for this food. And it's so interesting to see them kind of, I don't want to say fall back into bad habits, but take advantage of me not
Yeah.
implementing structure. And I think that's so important for people to know. And I think that's where people get caught up with dog training is their dog gets trained. Maybe they stick with their drills or their commands or whatever they were given for a month. And then they're like, we're all set here. Fast forward a year, they go to take their dog on a walk, and the dog is yapping at every person on the sidewalk. I'm sure you see that all the time with people.
Literally all the time. I do it.
Yeah.
I am the professional. And you may not be able to hear it right now, right? But there is 6 dogs in this apartment right now, including 2 of these cane corsos, and nobody's making a sound. But there is times because of whether it's life, right? Because let's put it out there, life does get in the way. We're all human, and sometimes life events just happen, adversity happens that we weren't seeing, and we just got to keep going. we're not getting rid of our dogs, right?
Yeah.
So we just kind of got to work through that. Always coming back is important. And the consistency, you will hear every educator talk about that. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Because if you have that, say you go that year without doing anything, the second you bring up those reminders of, hey, let's do this real quick, let's do this real quick, you will find that immediate change in behaviors and things. And the reason why is because it's always there. It just needs to be continuous. And when we say consistency, this doesn't mean you are going to quote unquote train with your dog for the rest of their life. It's just implementing the things you did teach them,
Right.
like just keeping those values and the rules and the boundaries in place. It's not like you're constantly, I think you mentioned something that kind of helps explain this. You said that people are used to, they'll finish the training, work with the trainer for a while, they'll do their drills and everything like that, and then they'll kind of like fall off. And I think that's why, is because majority of trainers are going to give you those drills. They're going to give you the, hey, take 10, 15, 30 minutes, do this back and forth, work on this, go to a public area, put them in a sit. They'll give you
Hmm.
these different drills to do. So the way that I feel, in my opinion, the way that we make that, we try to understand that in our brains is we like block these windows, right? We're making mental commitments in our brain of, okay, today I got to do this, today I got to do that. Depending on the human, some people are going to put that up there above everything for their dog, right?
Right.
Life gets in the way. That's
Yeah.
not always the case, right? So the consistency sometimes slips. But the reason why it's so important to keep it going and everything like that is because they need it. Like even me being the professional, I sometimes don't like, what's something that I slip up on? My dogs being having multiple dogs, right? Whenever somebody's throwing a fit. Dogs have personality. Even my dogs throw fits and they're like moody and they're like talking crap whenever I'm like walking around the house and everything. And I look at them and then they give me the side eye. They're pushing that you mentioned your dog's doing the same thing. They are pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And the reason why they are is because that is the way that they are. They are going to test these boundaries and see. Maturity obviously has effect on that, right? Your older dogs aren't going to constantly keep teasing with you, right?
Right.
But for the most part, your dogs are going to test those boundaries to see who am I around and what can I get away with, right? My dogs
Hmm.
are highly trained, but the second they meet a stranger, they'll try to jump on you. Not out in public and everything because they understand these boundaries. But if you come into our home,
Yeah.
they're going to try to get away with, the Corsos will get away with trying to jump on you to see if they can get away with it, right? So obviously, sometimes, depending on the person, and because we know we can control these dogs and we're professionals, depending on the person, we'll let it happen or we won't.
Yeah.
I know even as the professional, it will never be 100% in the home, even though I have it out there, because they are working dogs. In the home, it will never be 100% because I'm never clear about what's allowed and what's not.
Yeah.
And so whenever you think that you have to block out these times to explain and educate your dogs on these, you think of it commitment. I got to make the time. I don't even want to commit to the training because I don't have the time. And the difference of how I run my program and what I feel like I'm bringing to the industry is, or not if I'm bringing it to the industry, but what I've been kind of categorizing it as is lifestyle training. You
Hmm.
don't need to stop. Yes, there's fundamental things that you need to teach your dog that you need drills and stuff for, right? Maybe a place command or leash work, walking back and forth so your dog understands what a leash is, right? Those things are fundamental. But when you're talking about what next, what about just our day-to-day life when we're inside the house and I'm not going to have my dog on a leash? What then? I'm teaching people on a day-to-day basis on these private lessons, group classes, and everything like that, that anytime you are with your dog is a teachable moment, is
Hmm.
an opportunity for you to follow through on the rules that you've said, right? And the rules that you've put in place. Right now, this is what we're going through actively as we speak. This is an opportunity for me to, even though I'm distracted, right? He thinks I can't see him,
Yeah.
distracted by this phone call and everything. His only job was to come up here and stay here. I don't
Hmm.
want you to get off. I don't want you touching me and coming into my space because I'm supposed to be focused here, right?
Right.
So I'm not planning on doing any training session with him right now. But the fact that he's in here and he's my dog and I have control of this situation, this is an opportunity to implement, hey, I don't like that. Remember, I told you I don't like that? Yeah, I was serious. And at the same time, good job doing that. I told you I
Hmm.
love that. You keep it going. You keep being a rock star, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about training, isn't just about telling them they're doing something wrong. It's about rewarding them when they do it right, teaching them right from wrong, and then following through when you're like, hey, I've taught you that this is what it is. This is just the way it's going to be for your safety, for mine, for the overall good, right?
Right.
Then following through is where that commitment is you have to, every gray area you put in there, like him staying up here, if I let him get down, that's me being like, if I say to stay here, you can. Sometimes if you
Right.
feel like getting up, if you feel like you get to the point where you got to get up, and you can, because
Yeah.
sometimes I let you, right? If it is unclear that this means to stay here and do not move, because you don't follow through on the no, I'm serious, no,
Hmm.
where are you going, no, come back over here, I'm serious, no, if you don't follow through on that part, then they're like, you put them, your obedience dogs, right? I
Hmm.
don't know what's going on. I have a super, he knows all these commands. You tell him to sit, they'll look at you, take the treat, and be like, cool, thanks, bye,
Right.
right? Because you never made it clear, hey, when I ask you to do this, it's not just so you can get this that's in front of you. It's because this is what I'm expecting from you.
Hmm.
This is just the rules of life, right? So sometimes it becomes a dance. Your trained dogs know how to do this dance of, hey, when I ask you to do this thing, you know how to do it. But then you apply it to real world situation or scenario, and they seem clueless, right?
Yeah.
So I think the difference in how I explain these trainings is I'm not trying to give people the drills, except the fundamental ones of do this 15 minutes a day, do this 30 minutes a day. I come into your home and I'm like, we're here now.
Hmm.
You're in the house with your dog from this hour to this hour. That's when you're training, right? Every time you open up your mouth and you decide to communicate with your dog, that is a teachable moment. That is an opportunity for you to be like, I like it this way, I don't like it this way, right? So
Hmm.
I think that's definitely how I look at it, because he's slowly like he's like hanging off the edge of the bed, like thinking about no, and right, I'm not gonna give him a command. I just gave him a correction or a punishment for thinking about making the wrong choice,
Yeah.
and then by himself, he's like, you're right, you caught me. I'm gonna stop trying to test your boundaries. I know what I'm
Right.
supposed to do. He's not whining, he's not crying, his feelings aren't hurt, right? But now I get to pet him for, yes, thank you for doing what you already know I want you to do,
Hmm.
right? This is just an opportunity because he's here, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to put side a time or time aside.
Right. So, right now, or not even now, I'd say in the past year, what are like the top two or three reasons that people are reaching out to you for training?
Well, I think because of the way politics has categorized the dog training field, there's areas, right? You have your sport dogs, you have your hunting dogs, you have your bite work dogs, your protection dogs. And so when it comes to training, there's different avenues, right? Depending on what you're wanting to do. And so with that being said, I'm categorized as specializing in behavior modification,
Hmm.
right? So the dogs who are super fearful or super reactive and puffing their chest out at everybody and everything that moves the wrong way, right? It's a spectrum. You're super scared of their own shadow kind of dog is on the same spectrum as the dog who will run up to your face and bite you in it,
I
right?
have two
Same
of those
spectrum,
on that
right?
same spectrum on each end.
on
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
because you have the same kind of dog on the same spectrum. They're both loving, they're both obedient, right? But then they have these little behavioral things,
Yeah.
difference between obedience and behavior, that they need work on. And so I think obviously number one being reactivity. My dog doesn't like people. My dog doesn't
Yeah.
like dogs. My dog is scared of this. My dog reacts to this. And why I specialize in this and why I like it so much is because I feel like there's a lot of misconception around it, with there being reactivity and aggression, right? I'm an advocate for dogs, right? They can't speak to us all the time unless you teach them. But so I'm kind of their voice of, hey, just because you think, because of your belief system or what you think is the truth, that this dog is aggressive, as the professional, I'm here to tell you that this dog is not aggressive. They are reacting to stimulants in their environment.
Hmm.
That's the difference between, or what reactivity is it's not aggression, it's not anger, right? It's not a generic or genetic, it is just them reacting to, like, if I heard something in the background, right, loud
Hmm.
enough to grab my attention, I would react by,
Right.
right? That's just my reaction to something happening. So when you have a dog who's barking at you because you're a stranger, or you have a dog who's charging at you because you're coming too close, or hiding in a corner because you're coming too close, or talking to them. There's
Mm-hmm.
those dogs too. You talk to them, they shut down, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that is reactivity. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is 100% number one most thing I see is reactivity on the spectrum. So
Yeah.
many different cases. Number two, I would say, is leash work.
Mm-hmm.
My dog pulls on a leash like crazy, right? My dog pulls it. I can't walk my dog. My dog's too strong. Even the little dogs, so I can't walk this dog, right?
Yeah.
And typically, if not, if I could put a statistic on it, if not 96% of the time, whenever you have a dog who has reactivity, the leash work is going to come up in conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason why that is because that goes back to the behaviors and the fundamentals of boundaries. Hey, I know you feel this pressure on your neck whenever you hit the end of this leash, and I'm proud of you for knowing that you're capable of pushing through it and like they do so well, right?
Yeah.
But the missing part of that equation was when you were teaching boundaries and structure, you forgot to let them know or communicate, teach them when you feel that pressure, it's because you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you're supposed to feel that pressure, realize that you're doing it wrong, and then make the better decision of stay with me,
Right.
right? And then we're just walking together, in our pack the way it's supposed to be, being led by the leader, and nobody's having to stress about left or right or up or down or right. And
Mm-hmm.
so typically those go hand in hand. So definitely reactivity, leash work, and honestly, I would say I see that more than anything. I think everything else falls in line after that.
Yeah.
But
That makes
the
sense.
the two biggest things that's like almost an umbrella of everything else is reactivity and leash handling. If you wanted to generalize it even more,
Yeah.
help me be able to handle my dog, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have become a professional in because of my pack. I've
Mm-hmm.
had the little tiny dogs, I've had the little medium dogs, and now I have my extra large babies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've had dogs who outweigh me,
Yeah.
right? And who have the dominant personality of, want to bet?
Right.
You're telling me to what? You gonna make me? Right? I've owned dogs with that kind of mindset. And each one of them taught me that every last one of them are the exact same way. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter how big, doesn't matter how small, they all need, not about want or what makes me feel good, they all need the same thing. They need a leader who, like a parent, is caring, fair, loving, teaches them the ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that holds them accountable,
Yeah.
right? Corrects them if they mess up, because that's the responsibility of a leader, right? And then on the, with that, oh, let me see, I lost my train of thought. I was on it, tip of my tongue, ran it, I lost it. I was on a good one that time.
That's
The
okay.
ADHD
Okay.
brain, the
Yeah.
ADHD brain. But okay, so there we go, we caught it again. So they're all the same, right? All the same. They all need the structure, the leadership, right? The boundaries. Boundaries is one. I think that is the thing that I teach the most. A lot of people come to me with a lot of different problems,
Mm-hmm.
but 99% of the time, uh, take it back, 100% of the time, boundaries is coming up in conversation.
And that's a
Why is
human
my
problem.
That you hit the nail on the head. That is 100% that's on us. That's not on them, because they're only operating on what they were taught,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So they can't get in trouble for, hey, you did that wrong. Well, you never told me how to do it right. So yes, you're absolutely right. Yep, you hit the nail on the head. That is definitely the human. That is the variable that humans affect the most.
Hmm. And I think we as humans, like we resist setting boundaries because we're like, oh, our sweet little cuddly innocent dog, like that's always been my mentality having really small dogs. It's like, oh, they're so cute and they just want love. And it's like, no, set a boundary. If they're not supposed to walk all over you while you're laying in bed, set that, be firm and be what it
Great.
is. Or
Yeah,
if you're going to let them do it, just know they're going to do it and they don't know anything different, like just being consistent with whatever that might be. I can't just have a boundary on Monday and then on Tuesday be like, come here, like come walk on, you know what I mean?
literally, and that right there, you saying that is literally why boundaries comes up in every last. You're trying to be sneaky, right? And then look, there's no commands. I'm not going to give him another command, right? I don't even necessarily have to tell him the N-O word, right? Because some people don't like that. You can't tell your dog N-O, right? But why would I not? Just like
Right.
my human son, I want you to understand when I say no, because that means you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Imagine your child is going into the dishwasher, reaching for that knife. Tom Davis, the New York's canine educator, right? Super popular, famous dog YouTube trainer. But Tom Davis made the analogy or metaphor that I will never unsee because I'm a father. Your baby is walking up to the open dishwasher, reaching for a knife. The ideology behind the positive only stuff is that or gentle parenting, right? You don't want to yell at the baby. You don't want to scare the baby, right? You don't want to make the baby uncomfortable, right? Me, the reason why I don't believe in that way is because I want this baby to understand, right? My offspring, right? This is my baby, right? And our little theory here. And so my offspring, I want them to understand this is dangerous.
Yeah.
There's knives in there. There's forks, glass, possibly, right? This is dangerous. This is a safety issue. So now, mentally, go here with me mentally. I'm not worried about how you feel about it. I don't care about how you feel about it. This is a safety thing. I want you to understand I don't like the decision you just made to come over here because this puts your safety, right, in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, think of it of the dogs. What does that have to do with the dogs? In the same aspect, your dog running out of the house when the front door opens, right? Same boundary with your baby. Don't go near this dishwasher when it's open. Dangerous. No, don't do that. Boundary with your dog. This door opens. Don't go running out of it because it is dangerous. You can get hit by a car. You can run another stray. Say you're the friendly, happy golden retriever, happy-go-lucky, want to be everybody's friend kind of dog. You run out, a dog who is the opposite of you, sees you, comes over, and you get attacked. It is dangerous for too many unforeseen variables. That's the undeniable truth of owning dogs. When we decide to own dogs, there is variables like other owners at dog parks, people who take their dogs in public who shouldn't, right? Other variables that we will never be able to stop.
Yeah.
Right. So as our responsibility, we have to teach them how to navigate these and put boundaries in place so that we don't get put in that predicament of having to teach them, hey, you can't run out here because this is why you're getting the leg surgery. Now I got to get you used to walking in a cast. None of that had to be done if I taught you the simple boundary of don't run past this threshold when it opens.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So boundaries is number one thing I talk about. And it will forever be because I think it's misconstrued.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Wolf, where can people find you online and on social media? Give us all of your handles.
So the Instagram is Lobo K9 Services, Lobo K9, the letter K, number 9, and then services for the Instagram. The TikTok is Lobo K9 214. Just started that up. That's where I'm going to be posting more of the entertainment stuff because we don't only have 6 dogs. We got a lot of reptiles and creepy crawlies too. I might have an animal obsession. Y'all will see. But Lobo K9 214 on TikTok. I started the Lobo K9 TV YouTube channel. That'll be up and running. That's why, if you're noticing at the beginning, I had the body cam on. This PO, the PO, it's a body cam camera, shoots in 4K just like the ones the cops have. So that now y'all are going with me and getting that kind of this kind of content's out there, but there's not this out there, right? You're seeing my point of view of what it's like handling these dogs, because it's not just for entertainment. It's 100% why I do what I do is to educate people, educate dogs, because it's important. So the Lobo K9 TV YouTube channel, Facebook is Lobo K9. Pretty much you put Lobo K9 into any search bar and you'll find me. So Wolf the Trainer on every platform, Lobo K9, you'll find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think this was a really great episode. And I think that you touched on a lot of very important things that people need to hear, probably more than once, even those of us who have been in the industry.
Yeah.
So appreciate it.
For sure. Absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.